to the ERW Wealth Institute. This is where leaders, future millionaires, and billionaires come to learn and grow. We are always very excited to introduce another stunning discovery on your journey to a successful and fulfilling life. If you have not subscribed yet, please do so now. Today, we will cover Chapter 5 of The Servant Leader. Converting Followers into Leaders. Author, Emmanuel Randolph Wheagar, a contemporary executive business and leadership coach. Turning followers into leaders can be very tricky, challenging, and somewhat impossible for many leaders worldwide. The last chapter covered the magic of teamwork, the benefits of building high-performance teams, and the characteristics of servant leaders who effectively lead these magical teams. The question remains whether or not people in leadership today have the essential skills to turn their followers into influential leaders. This chapter will teach you how to convert your followers into effective and influential leaders. The lessons contained in this chapter will help you understand the danger of the traditional leader-follower relationship, where all decision-making defaults to the leader. This practice is a growth inhibitor, very stressful, and counterproductive in a post-COVID-19 workplace. According to Eric Hoffer, all leaders strive to turn their followers into children. Eric Hoffer may have a good argument, but I believe that this behavior does not represent all leaders, even though most leaders tend to condescend and overlook their followers' potential. These are some of the reasons why leadership becomes burdensome and stressful for many leaders. We will solve the mystery of how servant leaders effortlessly turn their followers into great and influential leaders. Entrepreneur.com, in an article entitled How a Leader Can Build a Team of Leaders, concluded that a servant leader focuses primarily on people's growth and well-being and the development of communities to which they belong. While a traditional leader looks to accumulate and exercise power, the servant leader shares his power. He puts the needs of his followers first and helps them develop into leaders themselves. Many of your followers may be working primarily for their salaries, but the potential leaders among them would want a greater sense of meaning in their work. Identify and coach them to become leaders. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. President John Quincy Adams, former U.S. President. Every great leader was a follower at one point in their journey to being a leader. Regrettably, many leaders continue to work far beyond their retirement age because they do not have a successor. Therefore, they continue to burn out until they finally throw in the towel. All leaders must avoid this catastrophe. These kinds of sad events often happen because most leaders fear losing their position, authority, and power. Always remember this: it is not power that corrupts but fear. Fear of losing power is what corrupts. Aung San Suu Kyi. Most leaders worldwide, including religious leaders, are afraid of losing power and control. Therefore, do not train their followers to become leaders. To protect their position, they learn to give smarter orders, recruit more talent. These are great leadership moves, but not good enough. These types of leaders continue to struggle for balance and perpetually scramble to provide answers to all of the questions thrown at them. The average leader feels obliged to solve all problems, answer all questions whether he is right or wrong, or whether his decisions are good or bad. The mediocre leader loves being the mastermind or the answer man with many questions thrown at him daily. On the contrary, I like to remind you that being the mastermind is a thing of the past. Studies have proven that being the perpetual mastermind or sole architect is mentally draining, exhausting, menacing, dangerous, and stressful. These kinds of leaders may get some results but can barely make a positive indelible mark on their followers. They often become autocrats, dictators, or the bad boss everyone is afraid of. Nazi leader Adolf Hitler is a great example. These leaders are constantly stressed out, temperate, and gladly share their stress with their followers. A Forbes magazine publication entitled Workplace Trend, Stress is on the Rise, authored by Victor Lipman, asserts that 80% of all workers reported a leadership change, such as a new direct manager or someone higher up the organizational chart, negatively affects stress levels. The most significant source of stress in the workplace comes from bad managers and supervisors. When these kinds of leaders finally burn out, they have no real successor, leading to a pitfall. The function of a leader is to produce more leaders, not followers, Ralph Nader. The servant leader puts his followers in charge, pushing them to make decisions in real business situations. The servant leader creates an environment for his followers to achieve greatness by challenging them, stretching them as much as possible. Giving your followers challenging projects will enhance their capabilities, help develop their critical thinking skills, and enhance their creativity. Overall, they will learn new skills, which tend to boost their confidence and self-efficacy. In such an empowering culture, stress levels dramatically decrease. your followers will perform as though the CEO was watching over them. The act of turning your followers into leaders is critical to sustainability, organizational resilience, and succession planning. To attain this level of success as a leader, you must delegate completely. Do not micromanage your followers. Rather, give them full authority, control, and trust. They will amaze you with great results. A classic example is Pastor Joel Osteen, senior pastor of the Lakewood Church, who had never held a leadership position before becoming the leader. His father, Reverend John Osteen, ran the church for many years while encouraging Joel to step into a leadership role. An offer Joel Osteen declined many times because he instead chose to work behind the scenes. Not until January 17, 1999, when Joel Osteen finally agreed to preach his first sermon. Ironically, his father died 6 days after. He then automatically stepped up to assume leadership. By 2014, the Lakewood Church has grown from 5,000 members to 43,000 members under Joel Osteen's leadership. Lakewood soon became the most extensive and fastest growing congregation in the U.S. as of 2020. The church's membership averaged 52,000 pre-COVID-19. Please note, I am not endorsing Joel Osteen's religious position, church doctrine, or theology. I am only presenting an example of how leaders emerge when they are empowered. Followers are leaders in waiting. Identify and empower them. Good followers are good leaders. The world's greatest leaders were followers first. Various studies have reported that when followers or employees are empowered and placed in leadership roles, their prefrontal cortex, the creative part of the brain, is activated, and their confidence grows exponentially. By treating people like leaders, you build more leaders. David Marquette. Conversely, when people are disempowered and have no voice or authority, their confidence takes a back seat. It lowers their self-esteem and hurts their creativity and self-efficacy. If the leader cannot raise a successor, his legacy dies with him. What a disastrous end. The most significant accomplishment of a leader is when he can empower a subordinate or a protege to become a great leader. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more and become more, you are a leader. John Quincy Adams. As a leader, you have a natural fiduciary duty to teach, coach, and empower your followers to become leaders. Your leadership is impotent and a failure if you cannot build other leaders. Authentic leadership is a leader's ability to turn a failing project into a success and a failing subordinate into a great leader. Do not follow where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path and leave a trail. Ralph Waldo Emerson. One of the single most competitive advantages for businesses today is their ability to grow, nurture, and develop leaders. Mark Benioff, founder of and CEO of Salesforce.com, asserts that to be truly successful, companies need to have a corporate mission that is bigger than profit. Only a few people understand that to be a good leader, you must first be a great follower. As Aristotle said, he who cannot be a good follower, cannot be a good leader. Meaning, your followers must be coachable, willing to learn, and malleable. Before you become a leader, success is all about growing yourself. When you become a leader, success is all about growing others. Jack Welch. Fresh out of graduate school, I landed my first job with a New York-based firm that specialized in accounting, business development, tax, and corporate law. My role was legal research, bookkeeping, reconciling bank statements, and financial reports. As a good follower, I was the first at work and the last to leave. When given a project, I would complete the given task before its deadline and suggest to the firm's CEO how we could improve on the process. The firm customarily places its new hires on a 3-month probationary period, after which the firm would decide whether the staff was a good fit. During my second month at the firm, I received a promotion to serve as Director of Training and Staff Development. I have never held such a role before joining the firm. My job was to teach processes that were foreign to me. I was given the authority to develop training materials and facilitate training for experienced tax law experts, CPAs, trust and estate professionals, tax law professionals, and all other staff. Confused about my fate in the new executive role, I asked the CEO, "Why me?" and his answer was, "Why not you? Does the promotion come with a pay increase?" I asked, and he answered, "Of course." The firm saw potential in a good follower. My new role was very empowering and challenging at the same time. The firm turned me from an entry-level staff into a challenging leadership role. I garnered courage, and my thought process changed from the follower syndrome to being the guy in charge. The firm's continuing professional education was resting on my shoulders. I became an instant leader who needed to think critically. The firm thrived on a servant leadership culture of empowerment, service, and education. Therefore, required that all employees completed a daily 1-hour training. My job was to develop training materials and facilitate training sessions. Leadership and learning are indispensable to each other. John F. Kennedy, former U.S. President. Not only did I thrive as Director of Training and Staff Development, but I was assigned another task to revive a struggling investment where the company was losing revenue yearly. With my enhanced confidence, I tackled the project with creativity and authority. Outstanding leaders go out of their way to empower and boost the self-esteem of their personnel. The firm did that for me, turned me from a follower to a leader, knowing that I had no prior experience. The firm made me believe in myself. If people believe in themselves, it's amazing what they can accomplish. Sam Walton, founder of Walmart and Sam's Club. I eventually turned the struggling project into a profitable venture for the company. I introduced my personal, professional experience to serve as a real-life example. When you empower ordinary people and give them authority, they will develop inner strength, develop high self-esteem, and become more creative, innovative, and ambitious to do their ultimate best. Here is the ERW 12-point model for how to turn your followers into great leaders. Number 1. Put your followers or employees first before profits and expansion. This is one of the most clever and strategic positions that will gain staff loyalty, organizational and company growth, and profitability. Number 2. Integrity. Indeed, virtue alone won't make you a leader, but you will never be one without integrity. Zig Ziglar. First and foremost, you must inspire and teach your followers the value of being honest and having strong moral principles. While working with a New York-based firm, I was never micromanaged, which helped me grow in integrity, prudence, and confidence. Oprah Winfrey puts it this way: real integrity is doing the right thing, knowing that nobody's going to see whether you did it or not. Moral uprightness is a leader's firewall and most excellent defense. Teach your followers or emerging leaders to practice what they preach, act according to their words, exude trustworthiness, and reliability at all times. Integrity also requires owning up to your mistakes and shortcomings instead of hiding them, pointing fingers, shifting blames, or making excuses. The supreme quality of leadership is unquestionably integrity. Without it, no real success is possible, whether on a section gang, a football field, in an army, or an office. Dwight D. Eisenhower. Teach your followers the power of integrity. Number 3. Forgiveness. Forgiveness is a key virtue you must instill in your followers if you intend to make them leaders. To forgive is to set a prisoner free and discover that the prisoner was you. Louis B. Smedes. How would you feel if you made a mistake at work and your boss walks up to you and say, "It's okay, everybody makes a mistake"? How empowering is that? The practice of forgiveness is our most significant contribution to the healing of the world. Marianne Williamson. When the leader is masterful at forgiveness and allows others to make mistakes without judgment, productivity, engagement, flexibility, and responsiveness increase. The Business Journal. Forgiveness-based workplaces also attract the best talent, especially from millennials. Rather than shame or judge people, you encourage creativity and problem-solving. Great leaders promote a culture of freedom in the workplace. To forgive is the highest and most beautiful form of love. In return, you will receive untold peace and happiness. Robert Mueller. Happiness in the workplace is crucial, powerful, and leads to creativity. I am not promoting a laissez-faire culture or a passive-aggressive workplace, but a workplace that encourages creativity, freedom of thought, and innovation by forgiving honest mistakes. The weak can never forgive. Forgiveness is the attribute of the strong. Mahatma Gandhi. Strong leaders do forgive often. There is something powerful about the word forgiveness, not just for creating happiness and peace of mind, but could help leadership be more impactful. To be an effective leader, if you exercise forgiveness, the fears that cause followers to make mistakes will dramatically be mitigated. To err is human, to forgive is divine. Alexander Pope. Errors are inevitable. We are not talking about careless, stupid, hazardous, or vindictive behaviors concealed as errors. When the servant leader realizes such intentional errors with intent to harm the organization, he immediately dismisses the culprit. Number 4. Delegate your authority and give control. If you believe that delegating authority will prevent you from leading effectively, it's about time to rethink your philosophy and understanding of what leadership entails. Average leaders raise the bar on themselves, good leaders raise the bar for others, great leaders inspire others to raise their bar. Warren Woodward. Many leaders love to delegate tasks and assignments. There is absolutely nothing wrong with delegating tasks, but the servant leader takes it a step further by delegating authority and giving control. They allow and empower their followers to make decisions. When you entrust power to a follower or subordinate, do not micromanage them. Be a coach instead of a boss. Delegate entirely and do not micromanage. Micromanagement incites fears and devastatingly hurt productivity in most instances. Micromanagement essentially inhibits confidence and gives birth to ineffective and unmotivated human robots barred from thinking for themselves. David Marquette, an experienced Navy officer, puts it this way: leadership should mean giving control rather than taking control and creating leaders rather than forging followers. Here is a true story of how the Santa Fe transitioned from the worst to the best in the fleet simply by challenging the U.S. Navy's traditional leader-follower tradition and approach. David Marquette was a newly appointed captain of the USS Santa Fe, a nuclear-powered submarine. He was responsible for more than 100 sailors, deep in the sea. In this high-stress environment, where there is no margin for error, it was crucial that his men did their job and did it well. But the ship was dogged by low morale, poor performance, and the worst rate of retention in the fleet. In the U.S. military, commands, control, and demands are deeply ingrained in their leadership culture and hierarchy. Captain Marquette followed this tradition until, one day, he unknowingly gave an impossible order, and his crew tried their hardest to accomplish this task, but fruitlessly. When the captain asked his soldiers, "Why didn't you challenge this order?" their answer was, "Because you give the command, and we must follow." The Navy captain quickly realized that he led a culture of human robots and a quintessential leader-follower culture. The captain realized that the ship was in danger unless he fundamentally changed his leadership model. The captain, therefore, pushed for leadership at every level. He vowed never to give another order. Before long, each member of Marquette's crew became a leader and assumed responsibility for everything they did, from clerical tasks to crucial combat decisions. The Navy crew became fully engaged, contributing their full intellectual capacity every day. One could not tell who the submarine captain was because everyone was entirely in control of their assignments. As a result, the Santa Fe Navy submarines won many awards, and officers of the Santa Fe were disproportionately recruited to lead other submarine commands in the Navy. This level of success was a result of allowing followers to step into leadership roles. No matter your business type, scope, or size of the company or organization, you can apply this servant leadership concept to turn your ship around too. Turn your organization from mediocrity to world-class status. The benefit of applying and practicing this concept is a workplace where everyone around you is taking responsibility for their actions. In an environment where everyone assumes a leadership role, they are more productive, creative, healthier, and happier. Imagine being the answer, man. This agonizing position has cost many leaders their sanity, loss of business, and failed endeavors. If you must answer all the questions in your organization, you are not a leader, you are the only reservoir from which everyone draws. You close the doors to creativity from the young digital native or the mid-level staff. These kinds of leaders are always mentally and physically exhausted, brain-drained, and stressed. When nobody moves until you move, your organization will shrink out of mediocrity, grow impaired, and you will eventually hate being a leader. Leaders who hold on to power, information, and authority will always have followers who are prone to saying yes to every command, whether wrong or impossible. These leaders are weak and are victims of the fear of losing power or losing ground. As a result of Captain David Marquette's leadership style change, members of the USS Santa Fe submarine was empowered and felt a sense of acceptance. Productivity was up, morale was up, their self-confidence grew, their self-esteem went through the roof, and they the best performing Navy submarine ship of all time. Leaders don't create followers, they create more leaders. Tom Peters. Leadership development works best when your followers understand the importance of all the different roles in your organization. One day, your followers will make decisions that could affect all areas of the business, delegate tasks, power, and authority entirely. Let me share this secret. Delegating your power and control makes you even more powerful and influential. Note that fear is the motivation that makes you think that giving control to your followers may lead to failure. Arrogance is what is stopping you from letting go of your authority. Ego is the blinding fog that makes you think you can do it all. Always remember, you are not as smart as a set of collective minds. Give your followers authority, trust them, allow them to take charge, to make closing decisions, and watch your organization thrive and expand competitively. Never delegate and then micromanage your followers, it only leads to frustration, lack of creativity, and low performance. I am not insinuating or recommending that you allow people to do whatever they please. Absolutely not. As an emerging servant leader, you must set standard operating procedures in place, define the rules of engagement, Set boundaries, guiding principles, employ systematic processes, and tools that your followers need before delegating authority, power, and crucial undertakings. The greatest leader is not necessarily the one who does the greatest things. He is the one that gets the people to do the greatest things. Ronald Reagan. Delegating your authority will make you influential and thus quickly turn your followers into confident leaders. When your followers become great leaders, you then begin to achieve legendary status. Number 5. Emotional intelligence. Encourage your followers or subordinates to be self-aware. A leader must be self-aware and even-tempered. The servant leader is self-aware and even-tempered. It is essential to know what upsets you and what makes you happy. Assessing how your actions affect people around you is vital. As a leader, your temperament dramatically influences the organizational culture and can set an organization ablaze or calm tension. Being even-tempered will allow you to assess internal conflict objectively. While this is a more inwardly focused skill, self-awareness is paramount for effective leadership. The better you understand yourself, the more effective you can be. The Center for Creative Leadership. Teach your followers these life-changing skills. Leadership is communicating to people their worth and potential so clearly that they are inspired to see it in themselves. David Marquette. Most leaders want to turn their followers into perpetual followers. Wrong move. Number 6. Teach your followers to radiate positive energy. A leader who radiates positive energy tends to be more likable and it boosts the morale of their followers. Being a boss does not make you a leader. Be not deceived. Some bosses are so horrible that no one ever wants to be a boss. Various studies show that a bad leader's negative energy is the #1 cause of stress in the workplace. When a leader is positive, followers feel comfortable, happier, self-esteem and productivity increases dramatically. You don't need to throw titles around to turn your followers into leaders. Titles mean nothing. It's an excellent place to start but the worst place to stay. John Maxwell. Emitting positive energy, motivating, coaching, inspiring, and developing your followers is what makes you a good leader, not your title or academic credentials. You don't have to hold a position to be a leader. Henry Ford, founder of the Ford Motor Company. Number 7. Teach your subordinates the acts of humility, empathy, patience, tolerance, fairness, and courage. See the chapter of this book that exclusively talks about courage. These virtues are the pillars that keep the servant leader grounded and unshakable. Master these characteristics, and you will reap the low-hanging fruits of greatness. Number 8. Teach your followers to foster a warm company culture rich in positive language, positive attitude, respect for each other, diversity, inclusivity, accountability, and transparency. These values are the catalysts to exponential growth, no matter how small or large your organization is. Calm words turn away wrath. Warm company culture is rich in transparency, camaraderie, cheers, tolerance, honesty, and communication. Treat people like family, and they will be loyal and give you their all. Arianna Huffington, founder of the Huffington Post. Number 9. Teach your followers to lead by example. Be a servant leader who inspires followers by leading them in the right ways. Your followers are watching you and will mimic your actions, habits, and behaviors. Be the leader you want your followers to be. Get down and do the dirty work with your followers. Stay faithful to your words and the promises you make. Always under-promise and over-deliver. You gain great respect and influence when you lead by example, working alongside your followers or subordinate. Great leaders are great followers, and great followers become great leaders, according to BillyGrogan.com. Number 10. Teach your followers or subordinates to be approachable and relatable. Get off the high horse and get to know your followers. Empowerment and trust are the keys that turn followers into high-level producers and independent thinkers. Their followers are programmed human machines that are not allowed to have a voice. It is exceptionally critical that you convert your followers into leaders. If you fail to do so, your followers will be human robots awaiting your commands. They will remain workers who are disengaged, doing the bare minimum just for the paycheck. Number 11. Team spirit. Study showed that by 2024, 70% of the workforce would be millennials. This group of professionals are extraordinarily team-oriented and enjoys building relationships with colleagues. They thrive on transparency, giving back, and environments that foster growth. Teach your followers to employ a team approach on every project. Read Chapter 4 of this book that talks about the magic of teamwork. Whatever we accomplish belongs to our entire group, a tribute to our combined efforts. Walt Disney, founder of the Walt Disney Company. Number 12. Leaders must be lifelong learners. A great leader never stops learning. They learn from other leaders. They learn from reading extensively. For example, Warren Buffett spends 5 to 6 hours a day reading 5 newspapers and 500 pages of corporate reports. Bill Gates reads 50 books a year. Mark Zuckerberg aims to read at least 1 book every 2 weeks, according to the Business Review. Great leaders also learn from their subordinates. They learn from their mistakes and shortcomings. Teach your followers to adopt a habit of learning. Leadership and learning are indispensable to each other. John F. Kennedy, former U.S. President. The first thing to remember is that leadership is a learned act. The faster you learn, the quicker you will accelerate to positions of leadership. The NYU's Stern School of Business article entitled Developing Practical Leadership Skills suggested that leadership is a skill to acquire and master, rather than a genetic inheritance. Great leaders are great learners. Oprah Winfrey credits books with much of her success. My father always reminded me that reading makes a man. Today a reader, tomorrow, a leader. Maya Angelou. According to his brother, Elon Musk grew up reading 2 books a day. As a servant leader, encourage your followers to read and foster an environment of learners. The results are magical. Microsoft's founder Bill Gates appears on everyone's list of the top 10 most admired U.S. business leaders, ever. Gates' success is a result of his reliance on an authoritarian servant leadership style. He sets well-defined goals, empowers his team, and then heavily relies on everyone on the team to take leadership on assigned tasks. This concept will yield fruitful results in your homes, businesses, churches, governments, schools, in a Navy fleet, social groups, and any other cohorts. Needless to mention that control freaks hinder creativity, but giving control and allowing your followers to lead will always yield more incredible benefits. Finally, be a good follower first. For leaders and followers reading this book, please note that being coachable, being receptive, respectful, loyal, humble, and courageous are the attributes that will make you a great follower and eventually a good leader. Aristotle said, "He who cannot be a good follower cannot be a good leader." Yes, if you must be a great leader, you must first be a great follower. This is where the world's most outstanding leaders start. Leaders in history who refused to be followers first, eventually became tyrants, disastrous dictators who rained down terror on humanity, insecure bossy managers pushing people around at work, the abusive father or mother at home. Because you made it to the end of another fantastic video, here is a bonus for you. Summary of how to turn your followers into leaders. Number 1. Put your followers or employees first before profits and expansion. They will give you their best. Number 2. Teach your followers the value of integrity. You will never be a true leader without integrity. Number 3. Teach your followers to forgive often. Number 4. Delegate authority and give your followers control. Number 5. Emotional intelligence. Encourage your followers or subordinates to be self-aware. A leader must be self-aware and even-tempered. Number 6. Teach your followers to radiate positive energy. A leader who radiates positive energy tends to be more likable and boost the morale of their followers. Number 7. Teach your subordinates the acts of humility, empathy, patience, courage, tolerance, and fairness. Number 8. Teach your followers to foster a warm company culture rich in positive language, positive attitude, respect for each other, diversity, inclusivity, accountability, and transparency. Number 9. Teach your followers to lead by example. Your followers are watching you and will mimic your actions, habits, and behaviors. Number 10. Teach your followers or subordinates to be approachable and relatable. Get off the high horse. Bossy leaders suck, and nobody wants to give them their best. Number 11. Teach and foster a culture of teamwork. Teamwork makes all the difference. Number 12. Leaders must be lifelong learners. A great leader never stops learning. And finally, you can never become a good leader if you are not a good follower. Great leaders are great followers first. Thanks for spending some time with us today. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and click the notification button to this channel for other chapters of The Servant Leader and other life-changing content. Also, please let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. The next chapter will cover the essentials of time management.